The following story is chilling, my friends. Listen until the end and tell me what you think of this being of light's attitude at the end of the video. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel. In the bustling city of Sao Paulo, where life seems to move at a frantic pace, São Lucas Hospital stood out as one of the region's most respected. There, the lives of doctors and patients intertwined in stories of pain, love, and often betrayal. Among the white corridors and emergency rooms, a dark tale unfolded, involving Dr. Clara and her husband Eduardo. Clara was a talented doctor, admired by her colleagues and patients alike. Her beauty and charisma made her the center of attention, but behind her charming smile lay a dissatisfied woman. Married to Eduardo for 5 years, she felt suffocated by the monotonous routine and her husband's excessive kindness. Eduardo was the opposite of Clara, gentle, caring, and completely in love with her. He was the kind of man who would do anything to see her happy, but Clara was far from being a faithful wife. The first years of marriage were a fairy tale. Eduardo treated her like a queen, always striving to surprise her with little gestures and surprises. However, the passion that once united them began to fade, and Clara, unhappy with the life she was leading, started seeking excitement outside the home. She wanted more than Eduardo's unconditional love. She craved adventure, the unknown. During her shifts, Clara began to get involved with her colleagues. Dr. Lucas, a charismatic and attractive surgeon, quickly stood out among them. Lucas's confident demeanor and charming smile awakened something in Clara that she thought she had lost. One day, while they were exchanging information about a patient, Lucas made a joke that made Clara laugh more than she should have. That laughter transformed into an intense gaze, and in a moment of weakness, they found themselves alone in the break room. "You're amazing, Clara," Lucas said in a soft voice. "Your talents aren't recognized enough around here." Clara felt a flutter in her stomach. He was right. The hospital was always so focused on numbers and results that it never acknowledged the dedication she put into each patient. "Thank you, Lucas. That means a lot to me," she replied, unaware that this innocent conversation would become the beginning of a series of secret meetings. Their encounters became increasingly frequent. A simple hug of gratitude after surgery turned into touches that were more than platonic. In that break room, where they were only supposed to relax between shifts, Clara and Lucas let themselves succumb to the attraction. It was in one of those moments that a stolen kiss sealed their fate. Clara found herself lost in an overwhelming passion, and the thrill of betrayal made her feel alive. Over time, their meetings became more elaborate. Clara began using work meetings as an excuse to meet Lucas at a discreet motel nearby. The smell of disinfectant and the sound of hurried footsteps became the backdrop for their escapades. In each of those encounters, Clara surrendered to Lucas with the same intensity she put into her work, as if both their lives depended on it. Eduardo, oblivious to all this, believed his wife was too busy with work. He supported her ambitions, thinking she was dedicated to the hospital and her career. The small changes in Clara's behavior didn't catch Eduardo's attention. To him, life was perfect, even though the passion that once existed between them was slowly fading. Clara's betrayals weren't limited to Lucas. There was also Dr. Miguel, an anesthesiologist who always praised her and made her feel special. During a particularly stressful shift, Clara and Miguel shared a bottle of wine after work. The fluid words and the freedom they felt in opening up to each other created an unexpected connection. Clara, in a moment of vulnerability, ended up giving herself to him in one of the hospital's break rooms. The act was as impulsive as it was electrifying, and while getting dressed, Clara realized that what had started as a simple friendship was turning into something much more complicated. As months went by, Clara's life became a labyrinth of lies. She found herself torn between the love and loyalty Eduardo showed her and the passionate affairs she was having with Lucas and Miguel. Each week brought new encounters, each more intense than the last. Clara lived in an emotional roller coaster, and the adrenaline she felt kept her alert while consuming her at the same time. One night, while with Lucas in a hotel, Clara received a message from Eduardo asking how her day had been. Her heart raced. With a smile on her lips, she replied with a vague message saying she was tired. As soon as she sent the message, she returned to Lucas, but guilt was tormenting her. When Clara discovered she was pregnant, her world crumbled around her. Fear consumed her. What would she do now? Lucas was the father, but the idea of telling Eduardo was unbearable. Clara decided she would keep the secret at all costs. With a plan in mind, she prepared for the lie that would change their lives forever. Clara began to manipulate the situation. She told Eduardo that she was stressed with work and needed more emotional support. He, always willing to help, began making small changes in his routine to spend more time with her. Clara, on the other hand, was torn between guilt and the excitement of becoming a mother. When Sophia was born, Clara felt a mix of joy and despair. The child was a perfect blend of her features and Lucas's, but Clara was determined to make Eduardo believe she was his. He, proud, held Sophia in his arms, unaware that the truth was hidden beneath the surface of their seemingly perfect life. Years went by, and life in their home became a cycle of routine and discontent. Clara felt trapped in a loveless marriage, but Sophia's presence prevented her from making drastic decisions. Eduardo continued to love her unconditionally, believing everything was fine, even as Clara drifted further away. Clara tried to be a devoted mother, but the shadow of her betrayals followed her. Every time she looked at Sophia, she remembered Lucas and Miguel, and guilt ate away at her inside. Eduardo tried to do his best for the family, but Clara couldn't live up to the expectations. She felt like an actress in a play, performing a role that wasn't hers. Nights of passion with Lucas and Miguel became rare, but when they happened, they were explosive. Clara secretly met Lucas in an apartment he had rented. The place was small but cozy, and the connection between them was intense. On one of those nights, Clara and Lucas lost themselves in a moment of pure passion, and as they surrendered to each other, Clara felt a wave of fulfillment. But the joy was quickly replaced by guilt, and she found herself once again battling her emotions. One night, Clara and Miguel met at a hospital party. The atmosphere was light and drinks were flowing. Clara couldn't ignore the tension between them, and in a moment of weakness, they stepped away from the group. The chemistry between them exploded, and they found themselves in a dark corner of the party, away from curious gazes. The kiss they shared was filled with repressed desire, and Clara let herself be swept away once again. Eduardo at home took care of Sophia, who was eager to see her mother. He calmed her down while waiting for Clara to return. Sophia's look, filled with love and trust, made Eduardo feel even more deceived when he discovered the truth. As time passed, Clara began to notice that Sophia resembled Lucas more and more. The features, the gaze, and even some expressions were identical. With each passing day, guilt grew, and Clara found herself trapped in a cycle of lies that seemed unending. One day, Clara decided she needed to distance herself from Lucas and Miguel, at least temporarily. She convinced herself she was doing it for her family, but the truth was that the pain of betrayal tormented her. She tried to focus on her work and Sophia, but the presence of the men in her life wouldn't let her be at peace. Lucas's messages became less frequent, but he was still unwilling to let her go easily. On a night shift, Clara received a message from Lucas asking to meet. Her heart raced. She hesitated, but the temptation was strong. They met at a cafe near the hospital, where the conversation flowed naturally. The chemistry between them was palpable, and Clara found herself once again caught in her web of betrayals. "I miss you, Clara," Lucas said, looking into her eyes. "I can't live like this anymore." Clara, divided between desire and reality, knew she was heading toward an abyss. They met at a motel where the passion reignited. It was as if nothing had changed between them, and Clara surrendered completely. However, guilt consumed her once more, and she found herself in an endless cycle. Clara's life became unsustainable. The tension between her and Eduardo increased, and the emotional distance became evident. Eduardo, though unaware of the betrayals, began to notice the change in Clara's behavior. He watched her, trying to understand what had changed. The nights she claimed to be working became more frequent, and he couldn't help but wonder if something more was going on. Finally the day came. Eduardo found a forgotten note from Clara, a reminder of a meeting with Lucas. His heart sank as he read those words. The reality he feared was finally becoming evident. He confronted Clara. "What's going on, Clara? I feel like you're hiding something from me," he said, his voice trembling. Clara tried to defend herself, but the words failed in the face of the pain in Eduardo's eyes. He felt betrayed, deceived by the one who was supposed to be his partner. The love he once felt for her now turned into confusion and anger. The scene unfolded in a whirlwind of emotions, and Clara realized that her actions had consequences. Sophia, innocent, watched from a distance, not understanding what was happening. The life Clara had built with such effort was about to crumble, and guilt consumed her. Eduardo found himself in a maze of pain, trying to understand how the woman he loved could be capable of such cruelty. Clara had to face the consequences of her decisions, as Eduardo struggled to find a way through betrayal and pain. Sophia, the innocent one, became a victim of her mother's choices. Love turned into distrust, and the life they had built together became a distant memory. The truth always finds a way to the light, and Clara's secrets in the shadows could not remain hidden forever. The outcome of the story was not clear. Eduardo's love became an echo of betrayal and lost love, a bitter lesson about the choices we make and the consequences they bring. And so, Clara's story became a silent warning about the dangers of dissatisfaction and the search for something that may not exist outside oneself. The betrayals, lies, and secrets left deep scars on all involved. Pain and betrayal became part of their lives, much more than Clara could ever imagine. What did you think of this account? Comment below and follow the channel.